Hi, I'm Tony.
Hello, I'm Tony.
And my birthday's June 13th.
And my birthday's June 13th.
We are StressLess Camping.
And we're TNT RVing.
And you all.
Yeah, so we are here in beautiful Michigan at the Michigan Mini Lite, Micro Lite RV Rally.
Great Lakes, not
Great
necessarily
Lakes,
Michigan.
okay.
That's okay.
And we're having a great time, and we're surrounded by people who have really good taste in RVs.
Absolutely.
And it's been fun talking RVs and visiting Michigan and all of that. And we thought there is so much wisdom in this audience and so many great stories. We thought this week on the StressLess Camping Podcast, we would talk about some of the funny things, some of the mishaps, and some of the successes that have befallen us. And we are very fortunate to also have several YouTube channels here amongst us, including our good friends Tony and Tina from TNT RV.
You know what we're also fortunate to have is our very own sponsors here from
Yeah,
ABC
we have,
Upfitters.
we have Scott and Ben. In fact, yeah. Ben,
Will you guys come up and will you do our ad for us?
Thank you guys so much for the opportunity to be here and share a little bit about what ABC Upfitters is doing. And it was kind of fun to get to share in person with you guys. And so we're just really grateful for the opportunity, for the invite. But yeah, no, it's kind of neat to be on the podcast here. And we showed off our power package in the back of the truck today and answered a bunch of questions. And if you guys are listening to this and you want to get in touch with us, you're probably going to talk to me on the phone. Our number is 574-333-3225. And if you've got any questions about the power package and what we can do to help you get your trailer off grid, give us a call. We'd be happy to answer any questions. We love talking about the technology and how we can help our customers get off grid.
And we also just want to say that we appreciate everyone's time today, but also want to let people know that we're support staff for the power package on the Rockwood Flagstaff models. So not only do we install systems for customers that have trailers without the power package, we can help talk people through the power package if they bought one from the factory or from a dealer. So if you're out there listening and you purchased a Rockwood Flagstaff model with the power package, don't hesitate to give myself or Scott a call, and we'd be happy to do a walkthrough on video, or you're always welcome to stop by at our headquarters in Elkhart, Indiana. So thank you.
Wait. I have a question. So one of the things that we really like about the power package, and just about the systems you have, they are all Master Volt components, so there's no finger pointing. Tell me a little about why that's a good thing.
Yeah, so that was one of the things that Rockwood Flagstaff, in selecting an off-grid system that they could install at the factory, they wanted to lean on one company that could provide a solution to their customers that wouldn't be a battery from one manufacturer, an inverter from another, solar controller from another. So with Master Volt, all those components are integrated into one system with one screen and are designed to work with each other. And so that way, if there's ever any questions or issues, you can always call us or call Forest River. Their staff has been trained by us to answer questions. And then we also have the ability to actually remote into the system to diagnose any issues. So it's just kind of a one-stop shop, and it creates a lot better experience for the customer and makes Rockwood happy with what they're using and confident.
Awesome.
Yeah, and as I like to say, it just works. I don't ever worry about that system, so it's a good thing. Well, thank you, gentlemen.
Yes.
Thank you for making the trip and for sharing the spotlight here. Appreciate it.
We appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. So we have some of you have been voluntold. I mean, some of you have volunteered to step up and share some tips or funny stories with us. And so, Tony and Tina, do you guys want to start?
Sure.
Yeah, tell us a
I don't
story.
know about funny. I thought,
What are you talking about?
Well,
Our favorite
our
trips?
favorite trip was our first, or not our first. Our trip to Maine was our favorite because it was lobster, and then there was lobster, and then there was lobster.
Every day,
Every day,
we would
every meal, we
get
could cook.
6 to 8 lobsters and then have them for dinner. All of our leftovers, I'd make lobster Benedict.
Lobster rolls.
Lobster rolls
Yeah.
for lunch.
We
and then
actually
we do it again.
And we stayed at Sandy Pines Campground, which is like middle of Maine, well, more towards
Kennebunkport.
Kennebunkport. So Goose Rocks Beach. So highly recommend that.
And the
That would probably be-
campground was biking distance to the beach. And then just a little further down the road, there was Wolf Farm and Lobster.
So that's where we got our lobsters.
So we're supporting a local family. The husband
Yeah.
would go out early morning and trap all the lobsters, and the wife and daughter were selling them at night. So we would
that's probably
go there
our
every day.
favorite. Our worst camping trip was our first. 'Cause that
So
was,
we got to preface this by Tina wasn't initially a big fan
camping.
of camping.
Right.
So her idea of vacation was bed and breakfast and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so I finally convinced her to let's do this.
Yeah.
And our first trip, of
was
course,
not good.
was not
I
winning
thought
her
if this
over.
is camping, no way. But I did give it a try. We had the seasonal campers, love the seasonal campers, but they didn't believe in the quiet hours, and so they were out till like 1 a.m. and I'm like staring at the ceiling, going, I'm not doing this. But it got way better after that. So yeah, so that was our first, our best and our worst.
I would say.
Yeah.
But mostly we've had
But we love
great
camping
times.
now. Absolutely love it. So we want to hear your stories.
Yeah.
So
So come on up. Who's
So,
up?
Yeah, all right. We have our first volunteer. Come on up.
No, I just wanted a question.
Oh, you had a question.
You said that those bad people were up till 1 o'clock in the morning doing God only knows what. Well,
They're
now
hooting
can you
and
stay
hollering.
up till 1 o'clock and do that?
Oh heck no! Are you kidding? We're those people. We're the.
It's 8:30.
Yeah. Well, it depends. It depends on the crowd. You're right, but we aren't. These people have very loud music going.
And it was more like 2.
It was. Yeah. But I firmly believe in sitting around the campfire till 1 a.m. That's totally fine. Usually people are by that time are telling the good stories and just sitting around and having a good time.
This is a loud
But
music.
this was loud music, but was it a holiday weekend? I don't remember.
I don't remember.
So, but yeah.
I'm glad you can stay up later now.
Yes.
Not always.
All right.
So
who's
do we
gonna
have
tell
any
us a
volunteers?
story?
All right.
Come
Who's our first volunteer to come up and tell a story? Don't be shy.
No.
Come on, all the way from
have to fill
all
a
the
whole
way from
hour,
the
you
cheap
guys.
seats.
we can keep talking. We don't want to keep talking.
Yeah.
Where do I stand?
Stand
Grab
there,
the mic.
that
The mic and stand right there.
What do I do with my hands? Hi, my name is John, and my wife Tammy reminded me about this story, and it is pretty good, so I'm going to share it. It's a funny story.
Outstanding.
Good.
We'd never gone kayaking before, and we were going off on a little trip for a weekend to a lake, and some friends of ours lent us their kayaks that we put in the bed of the truck that we thought we had properly secured. And as we had just gotten onto the freeway, and we're heading down the freeway. I get up to freeway speed, and I just notice out of the corner of my eye these two orange shapes just go sailing off the side of the truck. And they hit the side of the road. One went off into the weeds, and the other just skidded alongside the shoulder of the highway and gracefully landed against the back tire of a highway patrolman who had just pulled somebody over. So we pulled over as quickly as we could, and I went running back. The highway patrolman was a little amazed about what was going on because here's this guy running up to him going, "Is everybody okay?" And I got the one kayak, and another highway patrolman helpfully carried the other kayak back to our truck. And we got it in there, got it properly secured. And he says, well, I hope that doesn't happen again. And I'm like, thank God I didn't get a ticket for an improperly secured load or anything like that. And anyway, that's my story.
That's a good one.
So, John, your story reminds me of a story when our very first camping trip in our very first mini Lite. You know how you do stuff, and this is why we're such an advocate of checklists. You do stuff, but still your mind is going through its own internal checklist. And we're on our way to, I think, the coast, right? The first camping trip. And as we come around the corner and we're heading down the street, my checklist says, I never put the hitch pin in. And I was right. I never put the hitch pin in. I was very fortunate that it did not pull out. Yeah. Because, you're accelerating and all of that.
The reason I didn't know where we were going, because that was within a block of home.
Yeah.
We went to the end of the block. As he turned left, he thought of what it was and just stopped right there in the middle of the street. And fortunately, it had only shifted a little tiny bit, and he was able to wiggle it back together to get that pin in there.
Yeah.
Wow.
We averted disaster for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's one from us. Thank you. Yeah, you can just leave that right there.
Thank you, John.
All right. Any other great stories out there? I know you have them because we've talked to some of them around the campfire.
If you don't come tell them, we're just going to keep telling stories.
Oh, gosh. No.
And you've probably heard all of ours before.
Yeah, I know, right? All right.
Unaccustomed as I am to public speaking.
Hang on, I didn't wear my boots.
Oh, it's going to get deep. My name's Brad. And we
Hi,
do
Brad.
have a YouTube channel, and it's called It's About Time Now. We do travel videos around the country. We are anytimers. Meaning that we get the urge to go, we can go. We're both retired. As far as our best one, I'm going to tell you that I've found most people look for community. That's one of the things that you want when you hit the road. You're looking to have community. And I can tell you that in the 5+ years that we've been doing this, community has been very hard to come by. And as far as one of our best trips, I'm going to tell you that this one we're currently on and meeting all of you and being so welcoming has been a great trip for us, and we have stayed in a lot of campgrounds. And I'd like to thank all of you for doing that. I think that is what we truly hit the road for, is to find other people who share the same values or the same love for food or whatever it may be that we all do. As far as my worst trip that we ever had, there are so many. You cannot do this without in fact having something go wrong. And just recently, after all of these years, I went to dump the tanks at a full hookup campground, and as soon as I pulled the black lever, my hose split wide open. And I said, well, that was unexpected.
I'm sure that's what
and
you
all
said.
I could do was think, I need to get that valve closed, and I'm trying to keep it off of me. I did manage to get the valve closed and clean the site up the best I could. Fortunately, it was a full hookup site, and I washed it all down. But yeah, those things have to be replaced every few years. So if you haven't checked yours recently, you might want to do that.
That's good advice.
Good advice.
Yeah, that's outstanding advice.
Yeah, truly.
Thank you.
Brad.
Anyway, thank you guys.
Brad, it's a good thing you didn't have a fan at the time, because
When that hits the fan.
yeah.
I think I did a video about it.
We'll have to
that out.
find that and share that.
Yeah.
Oh, now here comes some trouble.
Yeah, well.
Oh, Steve.
Well, since it's time to do shameless self-promotion, this is the name of my rock band, and we sell albums and CDs and all sorts of fun. Okay.
Hey, wait, do that again for
Do it for the camera.
Sona Sombra. There we
Sona
go.
Sombra.
All
We
right,
were
there
listening
you go.
yesterday, and it was quite good.
There you
Wonderful.
go.
Yes.
So enough of shameless self-promotion. On to the story. I'm giving this story a title, and this title is Beware of Paradise. Okay. Now, I don't know if anybody has been down to Beaver Lake / Beaver Dam in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. It's in the hills up in the northwest corner of Arkansas. Gorgeous campground. So cool. They've got a nice, well, they built this Corps of Engineer for starters. Okay, so it's a really sweet, well-kept campground. And they built it such that they put a land bridge out to an island in the middle of their lake. Okay? So now you're camping on an island in the lake. And you're right there, right up in the water, right? You know, this campsite right next to the water. And it's gorgeous. Right, you know, we've got our little dinette, and right outside the dinette, we're watching the sunset while we're having dinner. Okay? It was just paradise, right? So, beware. We're also way exposed because the storms came.
Oh.
And the wind had to be 50-mile or more an hour winds. Kath, what do you think? At least. At least. And it was rocking the trailer. To us, it was almost as if it could have blown over the trailer. Okay, it was that. I mean, you felt, it's like, so the point is, beware of paradise, because it's one of the most loveliest things to hang out there on the island in, you know, camp and everything else. But wow, when that storm came through, Kathy spent the night. I can't go to sleep. I'm not kidding. So beware is all I'm saying.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve. We have a funny story. So we have a member of Girl Camper here, and we get to work together with Girl Camper to do the Camper College classes. And we were in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and we had a Zoom meeting scheduled with Girl Camper to talk about the classes. Yeah, you were there. And we were under a tornado warning. And there we were in the closet of this house.
So first I texted and said, I'm not sure we're going to be on the Zoom call. We have to go take shelter. But we grabbed our phones and went and took shelter. And once we were in the shelter, it was a house that they were renovating. So we kind of walked down the hall and said, well, maybe there's a place. And we were a little late for the meeting, but we tucked into a little hall closet and got on Zoom. And so we're standing in the closet with my phone going, hi, we're here. We made it. Can you hear us? Because we can't hear anything but
it was
the storm outside.
The storm. And of course, you know, all the people from the campground are in this house with their dogs and kids, and everyone's kind of freaking out a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyway.
We did the call.
We did.
Got to be aware of those storms.
So I have a story.
All right, come on up. And this is our hostess for this fantastic.
That's right.
5 years you've been putting this event on,
so
correct?
it would be 6 years if we didn't have COVID. But yeah, this is our 5th year for the Great Lakes Mini Lite Rally, and it's been awesome. There's so many folks that we have met through this. You know, the love of the brand, the love of everything that Rockwood and Flagstaff does, and I think they really appreciate us doing this because we are. You know, showing our love to everybody else that's in the campground, and they're like, what's going on? And here. So it really starts the conversation and talking about what we love about our campers. And I'm also a Girl Camper guide for Illinois. So I guess kind of my little tip is that I'm a camper of any sort of way. You know, there's no wrong way to camp like a girl, as we always say. So whether it's in a tent, a car, you're converting your minivan, I guess the moral of the story is here, go out and do it. I have camped my whole life. I still tent camp on some weekends. I'll just grab the tent, throw it in the car, throw my kayak on the roof, and make sure I tie it down. But really just get out and do it. Like some of the things that, you know, are the best memories are when you go outside of your comfort zone. So one, meeting other women, feeling, you know, like you're not the only one out there, and talking about your experiences with each other and other women. So I really encourage women to, you know, learn about your camper, learn about towing, try it. Even if it's just driving it for 20 miles on the highway, do it, you know, and, you know, God forbid something happens to your travel partner or your spouse. knowing how to at least hook up the trailer so that you can get it down the road or something like that, I really encourage you to do that. So it's not scary, really. Once you know and you're empowered and you have that, that's what it's all about. So really get out there and learn about it, and you already love it. So why not take that extra step?
I couldn't agree more. But
Absolutely.
the only wrong way to camp like a girl, because I get to go to some girl camper events because of the camper colleges, is to be me.
Is to be a boy. A boy in general.
It's a bummer that you can't go all the time, right? Because they are such
Well,
a good time.
and I have to say,
I have noticed that sometimes my wigs disappear, and I think he's trying to stow away on my girl camper trips.
well, I mean, I've seen what you all do, and it's, I mean, if you're a lady, join Girl Camper, because you guys do such great events, and I'm really jealous, because if it were Boy Camper, we'd sit around and drink and tell, oh, wait, that's kind of fun too.
Oh, wait.
But still, you really do incredible events.
You think we don't sit around and drink? But
What?
Girl Camper right now is actually on the third leg of the Route 66
Yes.
3-year journey, right?
Yeah. So I led one of those legs since we started in Illinois, and that was really my kind of first step into doing it by myself. I'm going to drive this down the highway. I'm going to hook it up by myself. I'll do everything. So you're not alone out there. So
No,
go
it
out
is.
and do it.
It's a very supportive group, but you guys really have fun.
Yeah.
So it's good on a lot of levels. And we've had Janine and Lisa on several times.
Yep.
So
So I second all that. So thank you.
Thank you,
thank
Karen.
you.
Yeah, that's so important to learn how to hook up.
Oh, the other half.
My buddy,
looks
my
so
barber buddy,
Quiet
right?
and gentle.
So that was not the story I thought she was going to tell, but that's her story to tell. I'm Jeff. I'm married to Karen. We started this whole thing, and thank you guys for coming out. We've been trying to get you out for a couple of years, so we're glad you could make it.
We're glad we finally came out.
Worst camping story. We were about a half an hour away from where we store the camper. And I looked in the side view mirror, and I thought I saw sparks. And I thought, well, maybe something came loose, and it's just hitting the pavement. So I pull over, and she's in her car about a mile behind me. So she doesn't even know I'm doing this yet. And I get out, and I look over there, and one of my bearings is on fire.
Oh, wow.
And we're rural highway, farms all around. I grab some water, splash it on there, take a look at it, say some words that I can't say on the podcast. She catches up. I explain to her what happened. We go, well, we pay extra for this camper roadside assistance. And I'm not going to say who it was through. But 8 hours later, I end up calling 911 because I have no idea what to do at this point. And this county sheriff comes out, and within a half hour, he had a guy on site.
Wow.
And we ended up just taking the tire off and driving about 25 miles an hour on 3 tires instead of 4, just because we were close. But turns out we had a bent axle.
Oh, yeah. I've heard a few people had that experience.
And after we found out it was a bent axle, I looked at her, I said, I know exactly when that happened.
Oh.
We hit one of those potholes where you're like, we got to stop and make sure everything's still attached. But you're not going to be able to tell that an axle bent when that happened.
Yeah.
So the best camp trip we had was Mackinac City, Michigan in 2022. And I can't point to one specific thing. It was the week of the 4th of July, which I know a lot of people are like, what are you doing in Mackinac City on the 4th of July? The weather was perfect. The campground we stayed at was right on Lake Huron, so it was a 50-foot walk to the water. And everything we wanted to do came together, and quite honestly, that camping trip ruined the rest of the year for me. I think that was the only video I made that year, because all of our other camping trips after that, I was like, no,
It's not worth it.
no. So I guess I should mention that we also have a YouTube channel
And
Yeah,
share that
absolutely.
with.
called The Brown's Big Adventure. We don't put out videos as much as some other people. And sometimes we go a little bit outside of RVing, but it's fun to do.
It is. Yeah. It's funny when you have those, I don't know, Jemez Mountains really.
Yeah.
Like we went camping at this, I don't know, what was it? Like 10, 15 spaces?
Yeah. There's not very many spaces.
And it's all off grid. And our friends are like, well, come here. And it's like right on a river, a little brook,
Creek,
really. Yeah, creek. And no hookups, but it was just surrounded by red rocks and in the mountains. It was beautiful in New Mexico.
So you should know that when we were moving to New Mexico in 2022, Tony was a little concerned because we came from Northern California and we were in redwood trees, and he said, all we're ever going to see is the desert because there's nothing but desert in New Mexico. And the first time that our friends took us, sightseeing for the day and we drove up into the mountains, and he's like,
Pine trees.
We're pine trees. We're still in New Mexico. I can't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah, New Mexico is an amazing state, but just because of the diversity of topography and the number of great I'm really impressed with it. I continue to be. And apparently we're going to be spending quite a bit of time there this summer because our trailer is going to be in Indiana. So
yeah.
All right. We have another story.
Go ahead. I can't believe nobody in our group is taking this story.
This is going to be good.
You had to elbow them away.
It was definitely a memorable trip, and we'll call it the caterpillar poo adventure. Are we allowed to say poo on the podcast? Yeah. Okay. So anybody here that was for caterpillar poo, raise your hand. So yeah, there was a lot of us here, and it was awful. We get here, we're setting up, and it's like there's just stuff falling from the trees, and you're thinking it's just stuff falling from the trees. Yeah. And somebody, I forget who, was like, you know what that is, don't you? And I'm like, no. And they're like, it's the caterpillars. They're eating the leaves and it's just coming down. And so you shake your hair and caterpillar poo comes out. And by the end of the trip, it had slimed everything. I forget who had to go, whose camper got totally annihilated. I don't think he's here right now. Yeah. I mean, it was awful. And the tables, if you had like white tables out, it was just, if you went to wipe them, it was just green slime. Yeah. So between the sap and the caterpillar poo, and there was here at this campground, it sounded like it was raining. It was awful. It was just awful. And they said that year, for some reason, they were like exceptionally bad. So that was the worst.
What time of year was that?
Our two best, if you've never camped, last year we camped at Kelly's Island. That was really fun. Yeah. Just hiking along, we kind of went off grid a little bit and down on the rocks and walked around the island just right there on the water. That's a beautiful campground to camp at. And then if nobody's been to Higgins Lake, that's beautiful. They call it the Caribbean of the North, but that's
both are in Michigan.
Kelly's Island's in Ohio, so that's right, kind of by Put in Bay, and then Higgins Lake is straight up 75, about an hour from the bridge. So that is beautiful. And then I would be remiss if I didn't tell a story about our host back there. At the first rally, everybody had kind of left, and we're just, picking up and getting ready to leave, and Jeff and Karen were camping next to us, and they were packing up, and nobody's really paying a lot of attention, but this is now a coined phrase, is all of a sudden we just hear Jeff go, pull the pin, Karen, and so now anytime anything goes wrong with anything in life, we're just like, pull the pin, Karen. So that's a coined phrase that now everybody can use, so those are our stories.
Thank you.
Thank you. So,
a couple of weeks ago, I know what you're going to say. A couple of weeks ago, we were in northern Missouri with Tony and Grace Gibney, and it's cicada season. And we haven't heard them here, but in northern Missouri, wow, there are cicadas. Yeah. And Tony they had put out their awning so we'd have a little more shade, and Tony says, I'm going to move away from the edge of the awning because they're getting me. And I said, it's just dripping off the awning. And then later Grace said, cicadas, they don't just trickle, they like spritz it out there.
Number one.
And I said, well, don't tell Tony, because I just convinced him it's just dripping the condensation off of
So then I hear
awning.
this and I look on, get out the phone and I'm like, gee. So.
You're going to hear cicadas next week.
Okay.
Good. I'm Monica from Michigan, and also want to give a big thanks to the Browns for all your work for doing this, because this has been great. We actually came down here for the second year, I think it was, of the rally. We did not have a mini Lite, didn't have a camper, met all the wonderful people, and met all their wonderful campers, went out, and it just convinced us, that the mini Lite was way to go. So we appreciate their hospitality, letting us meet folks. But one of the things that I'm sharing a little tip about community, as we all have talked. And we've discovered a community that we just love, especially in the winter. We're able to get away from Michigan, and we volunteer with an organization called SOWER, SOWER, Servants on Wheels, Ever Ready. They have a website, sowerministry.org. But we go to nonprofit camps, and we're able to volunteer our time, but they give us a place to stay full time, and you meet wonderful people around the country. The men work in the morning, the ladies work in the morning, and the men then also work in the afternoons, 4 days a week. So you have the whole 3-day weekend, and you work 3 weeks of the 4, things like painting, remodeling. But it's just been a great way for us to extend our camping living in Michigan. Now we can do it in the winter, as well as meet wonderful groups of people from all over the country. So maybe that tip could help someone else find to be able to do that.
And that saves a lot on antifreeze, because you don't have to winter.
Yeah, right.
Thank you, Monica.
That reminds me of, a lot of the really, let's say, more popular parks are really full and difficult to get a reservation in. And we had spoken with Ingle Bull, who said he volunteers at Yosemite. Yes. And that's how he's in there, and he gets to camp and go to Yosemite for, I think, 6 weeks.
He stays I don't quite remember a while what the number during was. Every summer.
But that's how he gets in there. So SOWERS is a great tip also.
So I actually had a niece one time that said she didn't want to volunteer to do whatever it was I was doing, because I was always volunteering. She was like, well, I don't want to volunteer. You don't get paid. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of the definition of volunteering, but whatever.
Kids.
That's funny.
Well,
Anybody
do we have
else?
any additional stories? No more?
No.
Well, that's all good too. We had some really good stories.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
Thank you so much for staying here through this, and for participating, and for inviting us to be here. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. Thanks for having us come out as well.
Are you kidding?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you to our co-hosts.
Yeah.
So.
Let's see.
Is that good?
I guess that's good.
Well, then, until next week.
Yeah.
StressLess Camping.
What that have been?